What's going on, guys and gals of RC? This is Kevin from RC Pro Bros, and today we're going to be switching out the receiver for the Enduro build. Let's do this. So everyone's kind of wondering, all right, why do you need to swap out the receiver, Kevin? I mean, the Enduro already has a receiver. It doesn't make any sense to swap it out, right? Well, I happen to have multiple rigs, and the multiple rigs that I have, I want to have one radio for all of them. So I'm going with the Enduro. I'm going to swap it out for my FlySky FSGT3B. The FSGT3B has around 10 channels. So that being said, I can have 10 trucks for this one radio.
One remote to rule them all.
So I'm going to have this one radio, and this will help me to, when I go on trails, for example, I don't have to lug around a whole bunch of radios, right? So that's the reason why I'm doing it for myself. So it's for me, but I'm going to show you guys how I do it for those who are not aware of how to swap out your receiver. It's simple. It's really simple. I know for myself, when I first started off, I didn't want to touch anything. I did not want to go in the truck because I was afraid that I would break something. So I'm going to show you this video of how we're going to swap it out, and you'll see exactly how easy it is to do it. It's not a problem. Okay, so this is what I use, guys, to install the receiver. A few tools plus the receiver. First one being the hex screwdriver. This is an MIP hex screwdriver. I use a pair of scissors. This one is Duratrax. Double-sided tape, get it for a few bucks from your local hobby store. And then the actual receiver for the FlySky, including the binding plug that you would need to use as well once you install it. You can get all of these things in a hobby store near you. And let's not forget the actual rig or truck that you're going to be installing it to. For this one, I'm going to be using it through opening the receiver box for these 4 screws here, and just pop this bad boy open and get ready to rock and roll. So now, as I'm opening up this box, I'm going to fast forward a little bit here. Something to note that some rigs will have this box and some will not. This one happens to have it, and I'm just going to open it up. And by hand, I'm going to just pry open the old receiver, which has the old sticky tape on the bottom. Again, I didn't use this too much, so it's kind of tough to pry open. But what I do want to do is make sure and take out the old tape, and so that it's a nice clean surface, so I can apply the new tape, the new double-sided tape, with the new receiver box. Okay. After I do that, I want to make sure that the plugs are in place. Remember where they are, so that when it comes time for me to reinstall, I know where each is. So, for example, the Servo plug will normally be in channel 1, and then the ESC plug will normally be in channel 2. Once I keep that as a note for myself, then I can pull them out and then reinstall them afterwards, after I bind them with the ESC in channel 2 and the servo, the steering servo, in channel 1. Now I'm going to install the double-sided tape on the new receiver. So the new double-sided tape on the new receiver. I normally cut it to fit the entire bottom of the receiver, so it's nice and snug. Just take the tape off, and I'll put it into the box. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add the binding plug to the space that says bind. You'll see that on the receiver. So you take the bind plug, make sure that the metal parts that's exposed is facing upward or towards where the top is, and put it in the bind spot. Make sure it's fastened in there really good. It's kind of fragile. It's not too fragile, but it's kind of fragile, so be careful. Then you want to take, for the power source, you want to take the ESC plug and put that into the spot that has the plus and minus sign. Most likely the top one that's on the receiver. You make sure that's snug in there too. Once we get those two in, then it's time to add the battery. Alright, so now we add the battery power. In some cases you would have a switch. In this case there's no switch. As soon as you add the battery, the power goes on, and you will see the receiver has a blinking light. That means it's ready to be binded to each other. Then you go to your receiver. Your receiver should have a bind button. Mine is here. And I'll keep my finger on that bind button while I turn or switch on my receiver, my controller. And then I'm going to hold it for a couple of seconds. And then let go of the bind button, and what I would see is that solid red light that indicates it has been binded and it's good to go. And there you have it, folks, the tutorial on swapping out your receiver. Remember, guys and gals, just dive into your trucks and start playing around with it. That's how you learn how to modify your rigs. So it's trial and error. And sometimes we have, you can go online, get a tutorial like this, and actually try it out for yourself. But the only way for you to learn is for you to make mistakes. So don't be afraid to make mistakes. Go out there, modify your trucks as much as you can. But regardless of what, at least you tried, right? But anyway, thanks for watching. Give us a thumbs up, subscribe, and click that bell on the bottom so you can get notifications when we have new content on a weekly basis. All right, guys, see you later. Huh? No, this is when you're too cool. This is when you wear your aviators. You're too cool.